Hey guys, in this video we are going to continue working on our dashboard, and on this video we are going to work on the rooms table, how to manage our rooms, how to view, edit or delete the room. This is how the table looks in our finished product. It is data grid and it is almost the same as the data grid of the users. So from this table we can view the details of the room from this icon. Let's click on it, and here is the details of the room. And let's try another room. Here's the slide of the images, and from here we can edit or delete. Let's try to delete this room. It is loading and the room has been deleted successfully, and it is not anymore in the table. Now let's try to edit this room from here. We can see on the map the location of the room, and in details we can see the title, description and the price, and here are the images of the room. We can cancel editing from this button. We are back to our table. Let's now try to edit. Let's change the location to Leiden, and let's add something here in the title just to know that we changed it. And let's change the price. For the photos, let's delete this photo and replace it with a new one. Let's pick this one. After changing the details, if you accidentally closed the page, the system will warn you that there is a change not saved yet. And even if you continue the closing or refreshing the page, our system will save the information of the user. So let's cancel for now. And let's try to refresh and continue with refreshing. Let's check our edited information. The location is still in Leiden, and here's the information we added to the title and the price as well as the images. This is the new one. This information will be cleared only if we clicked on cancel button, or if we submit this information by update button and save it in our database. Let's try to log out from this user and log in with another user. Let's try to log in with Rose account. And here we can't see the edited information of James. It is now fresh information. Let's try to update here. Let's change the location. Add something in the title. And let's add an image. And let's try to log out and log in back with James. We can see the old information of James. It is separated information. Here's the location. The details are still the same. And the images. Let's now submit this information to update it in our server. Now the room has been updated successfully, and we can see the price has been changed, the address as well as the image. Let's look back with Rose account. And let's go to add. We can see the old information of Rose account. The location in Amalo. And the photos, our old photo. And here's the title we've changed. And if we refresh or close, we can see that our system warned us that there are changes in our account, and the only way to clear it by canceling here. Let's clear this information, and we can here now refresh normally without any warning. Now let's go to our dashboard and work on our manage rooms page. We can see that Rose is only basic account, so she just has the permission to access her rooms, and she can't even see the main dashboard or the users table. But these access rules, we are going to add them in our next videos. So let's get started building our rooms table. Here in our working project, we can see the component of rooms is empty, and it is almost the same as this table of users. So let's go to our component. This is the component of the rooms, and this is the component of the users inside our dashboard. So let's copy the whole code of room users, and let's replace everything in the rooms component and start updating the code. Let's change the name here to rooms, and here as well. And we need rooms from our global state. We still need our pagination, but we don't need this state or ID. And here in the use effect, let's change the rooms here. And if there is no rooms, we are going to request the rooms from the server using our action get rooms. Let's replace it here as well. And let's now update the fields. These fields are going to be like this one: photos, cost, title, description, and all the other information. And they must match the naming of the fields in our database. So let's go back and update these fields. The first field, it will be for the images. It is an array of images URLs. And let's change the title to be photo, width to 70, and the source to be the first image in our array images. And let's change the variant to be rounded. Let's copy this field for the price. Let's update it here, and the title to be cost, width 70 pixels. And let's change the formatting. We will add the $sign to the price. And here let's update it to be title, the title of the room, and one for the description. And let's copy one for longitude. The field is LNG, and the header is longitude. Let's change the width to 110, and let's copy it for the latitude. Now let's delete this field, we don't need it. And update this to be the name of the user and the avatar. Let's change the title to be added by. This is the field we are going to add. There is tooltip for the name of the user. Let's change the width to be 80. And let's delete these. Add render cell. We will receive the params from the data grid. And we are going to retain tooltip from material UI. The title will be the name of the user. and inside it the avatar of the user. The source will be the photo of the user. Created at will stay the same. And the ID, we need to delete these and add height to be true, because we don't need it to be shown in the table, but we need the ID of the room. And the actions, let's increase the width because we need the 3 icon buttons. And here in the rooms actions, we don't need these 2 parameters. And let's update the name here to be rooms actions. Let's delete the row ID from here. And let's update the import. And let's update the source of the rows to be our rooms in our global context. The pagination and the style will stay the same. And let's delete this one here, we don't need it. Now let's create our component rooms actions. And for now, let's just add the default structure. Let's save and go back and save here as well. This is where we rendered this component. Now let's check. And here are our rooms. We can see the course, the titles, the descriptions, and the users added these rooms. We can see the avatars of the users, and when we hover over the avatar, we can see the name of the user. And the pagination as well, we can change it. It is working. And we can sort or order the rooms using any of these fields. Let's try created at field. We can see now the recently added rooms. And let's try to search or filter by any of these fields. Let's try the cost. Let's search for free rooms. Let's add here 0. And here are the rooms matched this criteria. Now let's clear this filter. And let's work on our actions. Let's go to our component room actions. And let's import the params prop we passed in our data grid. Now let's add box component from Material UI. And let's add inside it tooltip. Title, let's leave it empty for now because we need to copy it for the other 2 buttons. And let's add inside it icon button. On a click, let's add an empty function. And let's add the icon here. Let's use a preview from Material UI icons. Let's import it. And let's copy them twice. Now let's add the titles. The first one will be view room details. And the second one will be edit this room. And let's change the icon. Let's use edit from Material UI. And here delete this room. And the icon will be delete. Let's save for now and check. And here are our icon buttons. And when we hover, we can see the tooltip. But none of them is working yet. So let's go back and work on the functionality. Let's start with the view button. To view the details of the room, we need the component room we added before. It is in the components folder, under rooms folder. This is the component. We just extract the room object from the global state. And after that, we formatted all the details inside this object in this component. We can see in our global context, here is the object of the room inside the global state. And in the reducer, this is the action responsible for updating the state of this room object. We just pass it the payload in the action. So what we need is to use this action update room to update the object room in the global state by passing the details inside our row. But first we need to move this component from our home component to our app component, because we need to access this component from our dashboard, and we need beside it the notification and the loading components. So let's delete them from here. And let's add them in the app component. Outside the browser router, let's add here the loading and the notification. And let's add down the room component. Now let's import them. Now let's save and go back to our actions. Let's extract the dispatcher to dispatch our action using our hook useValue. And let's use it here to dispatch update room. And the payload, it will be the details of the room inside our row. So let's save and check. Let's view the details of this room. And here's the details with the address and all the information and the photos. Let's pick another room and view it. We can see the details. And for this as well. So our functionality is working correctly. Now let's go back and work on the other actions. We are going to start with delete action because it is easier. We need to go to our server and add another controller in the room controllers. And let's call it delete room. And let's use our function try catch to catch any errors and pass it our controller function. And let's extract the ID of the deleted room from the object retained by the model room .find by ID and delete. And let's pass it the ID of the room we received in the requested URL. After the successful delete, we are going to send back to the client a response with the status 200, success true, and the result, it will be an object inside it, the retained ID. Let's save and go to the room router to add a route to access this resource. Let's add it here. Room router.delete on the main URL of the room, and we will pass the room ID inside the params. After that, we will pass the control to our function delete room. Let's save this and go to the client side. Let's go to the room actions in the client side and create a new action or function here. We need to copy this, create room, and let's place it here and update the name here to be delete room. We will receive the same parameters, but we need to delete this set page. We don't need it. The URL, it will be the URL of the room, and we will attach with it the room ID. This is the room object. We don't need this body. We need to add the method because the default method is post, and we need to use here delete. We are not checking for now this token in the server side, but we are going to use it later. So let's leave it here. And after the success, we will change the alert message. Let's add here has been deleted. And we don't need this here, nor this. And this action, we are going to replace it with a new one. It will be delete room. But you can use, instead of this action, our function getRooms to request the new rooms array from the server. It is a little bit slower than to filter the rooms we've already have in our global state, because you need to send another request to the server, but the result, it will be the same. This is the action. It will request the rooms from the server. I'm not going to use this function. I am going to create a new action in the reducer to filter the rooms and delete this room. So let's update this to be delete room. And the payload, it will be the ID of the room we received from the server. Let's go to the reducer and create this action. When the action is delete room, we will retain the same fields of the state, and we will just change the rooms. It will be the same rooms in the state after we filtered that room. So the room ID, it will not be the same as the room ID of the deleted room. We received that ID in the action payload. So let's save and go back to our room actions. After deleting this room from the rooms array in our global state, we need to delete as well the images of this room from our storage in the Firebase. So let's create a new function in our utils folder. Let's call it delete images. It is a sync function because we are going to communicate with Firebase. We will receive the images array of the room and the user ID, and we will check if there is images URLs in this array. If there is, we are going to create another array for our promises. This promises array will contain delete promise for every image. So let's loop through the images. We will receive one URL for the image, and we are going to extract the name of the image from this URL. We used this way before in our project to extract the name from the Firebase URL. We will split using the user ID, add it to a %(f). This is how it is named in the Firebase URL. We will extract the second part of the array, then we will split it again using a question mark, and we will extract the first part, and this is the name of the image in the Firebase Storage. And here we are going to retain the promise to be stored in our promises array. We are going to use our function delete file we added before. This is the function inside our Firebase. This is the function that retains the promise of deleting the image. Let's import it. And let's pass it here, the path of the image inside our storage. This is the path of the image. It is rooms, then the user ID, then the name of the image. So let's add here the user ID and then the name of the image we've just extracted from the URL. This function will be stored inside our promises array as a requested promise. After adding all of these promises or functions inside our promises array, we are going to use try and catch. In case of error, we're just going to log the error because we don't want to bother the user. It is just to clear our storage from unused images. And let's here use a promise.all to request all the promises inside our array promises. And let's export this function. Now let's go and use it in our action. After deleting the room, we are going to delete the images from our storage using this function we've just created. So let's call it here. And let's pass it the images of the room and the user ID. This is the room and this is the current user. And let's save and go back to our rooms actions. Now let's extract the current user as well from our global state. And let's add here the action delete room. We will pass it the object row, it is the room, the current user and the dispatcher. This is the action here. We received the room, current user and dispatcher. Now let's save and check. Let's refresh the rooms for this user to see the last images we added. As you can see here, there are 6 images for 2 rooms, 3 per room. So after deleting the room, it should be 3 images deleted from here. Here we can see there are 2 rooms added in 25th. Now let's try to delete this room. It is successfully deleted and filtered out of our table. Let's check our storage. Let's refresh. There are still 6 photos, not 3 photos. There must be an error. Let's check what was the error. Let's open the console. There's an error. Images.maps is not a function. I misspelled the maps. Sorry about that. Let's go to our code and change it. Now let's save and check again. Let's delete this room. It has been successfully deleted. And let's go to the storage and refresh the rooms. Now we can see only 3 images left. The last deletion was successful to delete the photos from our storage as well. But these 3 left photos are from the old deletion when there was an error. You can delete them manually. But now our functionality is working correctly. Oh, I forgot to change the title here. Let's go back and change it. Editing the room, we are going to work on it in our next video because it is a tricky one. So see you guys in our upcoming video.